Right. Hello, guys. Welcome. Happy New Year. I think 10th of January, we can still say Happy New Year. I think this is maybe the cut-off now. But it's the first live of 2023. We'll carry on doing them every couple of weeks. Try and answer as many of your questions as I possibly can. But as I say at the start of these, we've got 30 minutes. That's it. So at 7:30, I'll have to go. If I haven't been able to answer your question in that time, then there are some places you can go. The main place to ask a question, at least, is the Facebook group. We're over 3,000 members there now. The short URL to get there is becleverwithyourcash.com/community. That will take you through to the group. If you join there, you can ask a question. And if I don't have the time to open it, so answer it, because I don't have the chance to answer all questions, someone else probably will be able to help out. Or you could just see if the information is already out there. Obviously, I've got the YouTube channel. A lot of you are watching there, maybe an Instagram as well. Lots of information there. But also becleverwithyourcash.com. Go there, search for stuff. You might be able to find things. And if you want to make sure you get the best of everything I do, the podcast, the YouTube channel, the blog, everything, then sign up for my newsletter, which comes out every Thursday. It's free. It won't cost you anything. That also will have lots of stuff. So maybe it will preempt any future questions you have. So that's the kind of place to go. But let's get into it, shall we? Let's just jump in, because I can already see loads of questions have come through on YouTube. So let's jump over there. Algron says, hello. Hi, Algron. Nice to see you. Gmo says, hey, Al, how are you? Are switching bonuses and cashback taxable? Also, would switching and having many accounts where money moves around to meet the requirements of each affect a mortgage application later? So no, they are not taxable. A switching bonus is regarded as kind of an incentive. It's not something that you'll be taxed on. So that is absolutely fine. And likewise, cashback, whether it's from a cashback site or a cashback card, that is not taxable either, okay? So don't have to worry about that one at all. In terms of having a number of switches affecting your future mortgages, well, every time you switch, you're obviously opening up a new account and closing an old account. And both of those can have an impact on your credit score. So you want to avoid doing that along with any other kind of hard credit searches in the 6 months before you apply for a mortgage or remortgage, whatever it might be, okay? So that's really important. In terms of the money moving around, I wouldn't have thought that's going to be too much of an issue. Obviously, when lenders look at your accounts, they might try and work out, where's this money going here and why is that money going there? But, you know, at that stage, you can explain to that if they have that question. Sorry, excuse me. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much. Gody says, after switching bank and getting the offer, can you switch bank straight away? So broadly, the answer is yes, but do check the terms and conditions for every switching deal. There will be some switching deals which say you must stay for X amount of time in order to get the money, but they might pay you early. Now, technically, if you've got the money, you could move away. They're unlikely to claw it back. But personally, I would just stay with that account until that initial term was up, even if you've got paid earlier than it initially said. Let's quickly jump over to Insta, because he's whizzed through these questions, so sometimes I do miss a few of them. Hello to all of you there, lovely to see you. Brad says, what happens to the accrued interest if I close a savings account paying interest yearly? They will settle it up for you at that point, but obviously it's always worth, I mean, if you've withdrawn the money, that's one thing. If you closed it, then they should obviously, that payment, that should all be settled up for you, unless of course it is a fixed account where the fix says that you have to keep the money in there for that certain amount of time. And if you take your money out earlier, you get hit with a penalty. But if it's just an easy access account or something like that, then that should settle that up and give you that money straight away. Just keep an eye on it. Obviously, you're entitled to it unless the terms say that you're not. Stevie says, we currently have 2 fixed ISAs with a maximum of 85k until October 2023 and looking to up 2 new ISAs with a different bank. Are we still able to change the 2 current ISAs to another fixed term account at the end of the current term? So I've spoken quite a lot about transferring ISAs before in previous episodes, so I won't go into too much detail here. But effectively, when you have an ISA, what's really important, if you want to move it to a better paying account, is you don't withdraw it, you transfer it across, particularly if you're over the 20k annual allowance. So very simply, if you want to, if there's a better paying account out there for you, Stevie, once that fix is over, you just transfer the money using the bank, the new bank's internal transfer process. Okay, so it's really, really important that you do that. The Allotment Kitchen Garden says, are Santander likely to have more switching offers soon? I'm interested in the cashback on bills, but as I've not banked with them before, I'm just hoping I can do a switch rather than just opening up an account. So this is an interesting one. So I have, obviously, Santander have changed their portfolio of cashback accounts. The 123 Lite account is no longer available to new customers. If you've already got it, keep hold of it. It's very difficult to beat that one. But now you've got a choice of the Edge or the normal 123. And they have pros and cons as terms of which one you go for out of the two. I've got details of that on the YouTube channel and on the blog. Now, in terms of the switching deals, I don't know if Santander will bring back a switching offer. They might not, but they might. And last time they ran the offers, one went and it came back. So they have got history in the last year of having an offer and taking it off and bringing one back. But the last time it ran, it was available for existing Santander customers. So you could hedge your bets. I can't guarantee it will come back at all, and I can't guarantee it will come back with that same terms. You can hedge your bets and go, do you know what? I'm going to just open up the account, get the cash back, and hope that if it comes back, I'm going to be eligible for it. Even if not with your existing account, by opening up an additional account. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a bug recently. I actually did this myself a few years back. I was waiting for an offer to come along. They used to have a refer a friend deal before that. I was waiting for that. In the end, I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to open up the account because I'd missed out. I'd waited like a year and I missed out all that cash back for all that time. So personally, I would go for it and hope you're going to be okay. But if you'd rather wait, then that's absolutely fine. You should do that. Stevie says, I'll do another one, Stevie. I try to get through as many people as I can. But Stevie says, hi, Andy. Premium bonds versus a 1-year fix, 4.5%. I don't really know what your question is there, Stevie. But fundamentally, the important thing to remember with premium bonds is, although it has a prize rate of 3%, it is not guaranteed that that is what you are going to get. You'll probably get less than that, even if you have the full 50k in there, which is the most you can put in. The advantage, as I discussed in my recent best savings accounts for 2023 video and article, where I think this is an advantage, it's for those of you who are likely to go over the personal savings allowance this year, in which case you need to factor out, I think this is what you're asking me about here. Right, I think you're asking me, or is it worth getting a savings account where the tax comes off still makes it a better rate than an alternative? Does that make sense? So let's say you are paying, just make this easy, right? It's 10% interest. I know it's not 10% interest. Wouldn't that be amazing? But 10% interest. If you are 40% tax on that, it drops down to 6% interest. So what you'd be looking for then is there an account elsewhere in an ISA or in premium bonds that could beat that competitive, that 6%? It's going to be unlikely. But if you can get it, and obviously, example here, if we half that, maybe you're looking at something more likely. So it'll be 5% and 3%. There's not much in it right now, but it's one to keep an eye on, certainly. So a bit confusing for you guys. Hopefully that one made sense. Let's go back to Insta. Graham says, any news of any other switching deals coming out soon apart from the new Lloyds one just announced? So yeah, so just today, this afternoon, Lloyds did announce a £200 switching deal. I've got an article on the blog, becleveryourcash.com, taking you through how to take advantage of that and which accounts are eligible. It is different to the last one that ran. I wouldn't be surprised if we have an HSBC one soon. And maybe if not this month, next month, either RBS or NatWest. They generally seem to work in that kind of pattern, but I can't guarantee it at all. You never know. As the likes of Santander and Nationwide, really, really hard to say whether they will bring something back. Halifax generally follow Lloyds. So when the Lloyds one finishes in March, Halifax will probably start then. They might cross over a little bit. And again, NatWest or RBS, so generally one starts and the other one follows a few weeks after. As soon as I know about them, obviously I will write about it on the blog. And I will tell you about it in the podcast. I'll tell you about it in the newsletter, and I'll tell you about it on the YouTube channel as well. So make sure you are following me in all those places to find out about the information straight away. Amir says, hi Andy, any thoughts on the HSBC Premier current account? Not really. I generally don't think that these Premier accounts are worth it for most people. There might be some little perks and things. Similarly, you get them with a number of banks have this, NatWest, Barclays. Generally, I think the normal accounts will be just as good for everyone for what you need. But have a look at it. If you're someone who thinks you get perks out of some of the things that come with that, then maybe it's worth looking at. Tiptoe Mouse says, is there a way to save for my children without them having full access at 16 or 18? I want to save for university, but I don't want them blowing it all. I think realistically, the way to do that is to not have the savings in their names, which you can do. No problem having the money. The things you probably have to bear in mind in that case, that you'll be earning obviously interest on that savings as well as your own savings. And that could have an impact on talking about the personal savings allowance just now, how much if you interest you can earn while it's still tax-free. But you can do that if you want to. And there may also be a thing, and it's not going to be an issue for most people because of inheritance. The way it works in passing to partners and children is not an issue. But if it was not for your children, if it was for like nieces and nephews, then there could obviously be an inheritance thing there potentially. But broadly, the only way to stop them having it is to not let them know they've got it, really, which might be a bit harsh, but you know your kids. And if you think they're going to blow it all at 16 or 18, then maybe that's the best thing. Christopher says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Christopher. Ebenezer says, hi. Hello, Ebenezer. Ryan asks, what's the difference in a direct debit and a standing order? Trying to figure out if I can get more current accounts to do switching deals. So the majority of switching deals that require something like this, a number of them don't require anything. The First Direct one doesn't, the Lloyd's one doesn't, and a number of us haven't in the past as well. But if they require a direct debit, that's generally what they're going to ask for. Only the HSBC one has also allowed a standing order when they wanted this kind of regular payment to come out every single month as part of the switch. Now, a standing order is really easy to set this up. You can set this up yourself. You just need a sort code and account number, and you can transfer money to another account of yours or somebody else's, whatever it might be. A direct debit is something which, and so I should say, a standing order is of a set amount. A direct debit is something you normally set up with a provider, so you generally pay your bills by direct debit. And this one can be variable. The amount can change. So for example, your mobile phone bill, it might be, I'm hoping, under £10 a month. Let's say it's £8. But if for some reason you've gone over your data allowance, or maybe you've sent a photo message, or you've texted the BBC, did you know that? That would charge you to do that. But anyway, or you send 5 Live, whatever you text them, it will charge you. That might add a little bit more, so your direct debit will change as a result. Now, if you are looking for additional direct debits because you've used them all up in different accounts and you want extra ones sitting there for switching, I have got a whole video and article taking you through some of your options. So do check that one out. And actually, it's worth me sort of actually sharing this one out. I'm going to put it in my banking update later this month as well when I do that video. But I did speak about one direct debit you could set up was with a charity building society. And this was an easy one. You can set it up, move some money across. They actually got in touch with me and said they had a lot of people opening up accounts just for that purpose of sending over a direct debit in order to get a switching bonus. And that was putting a lot of cost on their overheads and made it very difficult for them to do that. And obviously, the charity bank, Charity Building Society, they're doing this for a good cause. They're not big multinational banks. So I've removed them from the article. I obviously can't remove it from the video, but please don't use them is what I would say, because we don't want to do this. It's great to get these extra hacks, these extra money, but it's worth thinking about with the smaller institutions if there is going to be a knock-on effect. So, but there are plenty you can do which won't have that impact. So it shouldn't set you back if you want to take advantage of those offers. Iftikhar says, long-term watcher, first time asking a question. That's great, fantastic. I've made a lot of money from Complete Savings Cashback. How comes you don't talk about it much? So Complete Savings Cashback is that one that pops up. You know when you bought, I don't know, like often you pop on Ticketmaster, you made a purchase and it pops up at the end. Would you like to earn cashback off your next purchase? And there are a number of other ones like it. The reason I don't talk about Complete Savings Cashback, and I'm pretty sure this is the right one, I'm talking about the right one here, is because they charge you a fee every single month to access these rates and these offers when you can just get them for free from Quidco and Top Cashback. So why do that? And in fact, often what happens with this, which is why they're complained about a huge amount, is that people sign up for it and forget that this monthly payment is coming out, even when they're not using it, and ends up costing them a lot more money. Or they don't even realize there's a monthly fee. I hope I've got the right one there. Let me just quickly Google that just to check I am saying the right thing there, because I don't want to be sort of saying the wrong thing. Bear with me, guys. Bear with. Oh, you can't tell from this. I'm pretty confident that is the one that pops up. Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, you might find if you use it enough, at the rates they all have on offer, if they are a lot more than elsewhere and you are going to those retailers, that you can justify the monthly fee. In which case, great. But for most of us, we don't need to use it. What else we've got going on? Hannah says, Happy New Year. Do you have any tips on the best place to shop to save money when batch cooking? I love these kind of questions. Don't really get them on the Q&As. Most of you are asking about banks and savings accounts, but I obviously do all the money saving stuff. Batch cooking is a great way to save some money, because for those who don't know what it is, I mean, the name kind of is pretty clear, but rather than cooking just your meal for you and your partner or your family on the night, and the next day cook another meal, next day cook another meal, whatever it is, you cook more, you batch cook. In fact, you might set aside a day and do loads of meals. And then these extra portions you've got, well, you freeze them. Or they're enough that you can reheat it the next day, you know, so you've got saving your time. And not only does in theory, you know, stop the effort of having to cook every single day, whatever it is, but you're buying obviously more ingredients, you're making the most of things, there's less waste going on, you're planning your meals much better. It's a great way to do it. Now, in terms of the best place to buy the things, the ingredients, I mean, you've really got to shop around. Which does a monthly table looking at the cheapest supermarkets. And Aldi and Lidl always come at the top, and Ocado and Waitrose always come out at the bottom of the most expensive. And fundamentally, you know, that is an undeniable truth that those supermarkets are cheaper than those other supermarkets and the rest of them in the middle. However, the way they compare it is with a basket of goods, a generic branded basket of goods. And that's great if you buy those goods, but we don't shop like that. We all buy different things at different times. And we know that supermarkets have different promotions at different times, offering different discounts. So I personally would say, look, what supermarkets have you got near you? Go to them, look at them both, work out the things you want to get and decide whether you want to go to one or the other and find out if one of them on average works out cheaper. Most of us do not have the time to go onto websites and look at the list of all the ingredients and go, oh, well, if I buy that at Tesco and that one at Aldi and that one at Waitrose, you know, it takes up too much time to do it. Most of the time it's better to just go to a single shop, and it's often better to go to that shop which is the most convenient to you. So you're not having to drive out of the way, not using up even more time using it. Because that time you spend going to multiple supermarkets, and don't get me wrong, in the past I have done this when I've got more than one of them that I could walk around. That time could be spent elsewhere, either relaxing or doing some of the things that will make you a lot more money. And it also depends what you're cooking and things like that. So sorry, I'm not any clear places to go, but certainly, you know, the obvious places I'm going to be broadly going to be cheaper, but reduced stuff. I love yellow stickers. I always check out any supermarket. I mean, I always see what's reduced. Anything I want that I've got room in the freezer for, I'll get it and I'll whack it in there. Sibo says, hi Andy, what would you do your day-to-day spending on if Chase didn't exist or ended? Well, Chase is due to end. For those of you who opened it up at any point since before February 2022. So if you were an early adopter, you had it in the first sort of 5-6 months, your cashback, it got extended from 12 months until the end of February. Obviously, if you've opened it since February, you've got that full year. But for a lot of us, unless Chase extends it again, it means it will end. So I will be doing content around that nearer the time. I'm hoping maybe they'll extend it. Maybe they'll do something which means that cashback will continue. But let's assume they don't. The only other place where you can get 1% on most of your shopping, as long as it accepts American Express, is the Amex Nectar credit card. Now, you do get these as Nectar points. You get 2 points for every pound that you spend at any retailer. Those 2 points work out at 1%. So you're getting exactly the same thing, and most places will take that. You'll miss out on a few places here or there, but broadly that's going to be your best bet, I would say. There is a newer thing out there called Algebra. I'm going to look into this, how that works. That will give you 1% as well, but I think only for a limited amount of time as well. You could look at the Amex Gold. I know it's an Amex again, although the valuation you get from that, again, swapping the Amex points into Avios points and then into Nectar points, it's easy to do. It doesn't sound sounds complicated, but it's not. Has been devalued. If you're spending more than 5k on that, you're getting between 0.89% and 1% on that, I would say, depending on these bonuses that are triggered. But if you're going to do that to get that rate, you may as well get the Amex Nectar points because it's Nectar in itself. But I will keep an eye out. I will give you updates on that as we go along. Ben says, hi Andy, I'm stoozing at the moment. Can I keep the stews going after my 0% period ends somehow? Is that possible? Yeah, so you could. For those who don't know about stoozing, I have got a whole video and article explaining what it is. But fundamentally, this is where rather than spending on a cashback card, in fact, going back to Sibo's question there, maybe stoozing is an option when Chase's cashback ends for some of your spending. But yeah, you rather than spending on a cashback card, you pay on a 0% purchase credit card, and the money you would have used to pay off that 0% card, you put into a savings account. And the rates on there are obviously much, much better than you're going to get on cashback cards right now. Now, when that 0% period ends, you need to clear that balance completely to avoid interest getting charged. However, you might be able to do a balance transfer. Now, there's no guarantee you can do this, right? So you want to make sure that cash is available to you in savings. You don't want to have it locked away, it's inaccessible. So it has to be accessible. But if you can balance transfer that across, And if you do some of them, which will be slightly shorter period at 0%, but you avoid the transfer fee, you don't want to pay the transfer fee, then that money will continue at 0% for maybe another year, 18 months, maybe 2 years. The number of months on those are falling slightly. But yeah, you could potentially keep doing that on with the money kept in savings earning more. So that's how you would do that. Slee says, hi Andy, did you say you were going to do a video or something about going over the PSA and how to submit it to HMRC, etc.? Yeah, I'm probably going to mention it in my savings update, but I'll talk about it quickly now, very briefly for you guys. So if you do go over the personal savings allowance, as in the interest you earn goes over that. So let's say you are a higher rate taxpayer, you have a £500 personal savings allowance, you earn £550 of interest in a year. That £50 will be taxed at 40%. How do you pay it? Well, most of the time that's going to go out via your HMRC will just adjust your tax code, take out that extra money that you owe them. However, if you fill it in a self-assessment form, then you need to do it that way. You will put in how much interest you have earned in the year. They will see that goes over your allowance, and that will be adjusted for, therefore, in the figures of how much tax that you have to pay them as part of that overall tax return. So relatively simple. So if you don't have a self-assessment form, it's done via payroll. If you do, you have to do it via the self-assessment form. Steve says, any thoughts on using Chase as your main current account? It does most of the things now. It doesn't do everything, it does most of the things. So you could use it as your main account. And it has recently had a sort of refresh on the app. I haven't had a proper look at it, but they've split the spending and the savings sections out. Yeah, it's perfectly decent to use it as your main account. I like using it just as a spending account because it means I just put money over there as I want to spend it. Now, there is a risk of that, obviously, that maybe I've not topped it up and I need to make a purchase that's more than that, and I don't have Signal or whatever to actually move the money across from a different account. So there is a risk associated with that, but I'm not too worried about it. And I think although Chase is a decent app, I'd much rather bank with Starling. Also, I know some of you guys don't care about this or disagree with me on this, but I do think the ethical side of things is quite important to consider. And JP Morgan Chase, big bank, we've all heard of them. They are Chase's parents, and they are not ethical when it comes to what they do with your money, which is why I've not used them for savings personally, just for spending. Yeah, I know you might say it's a bit hypocritical because you're happy to take the cash back and there's charging money like from that, but I don't keep a lot of money in that account at any time. If I do have a larger balance, I'd rather that sitting in my main account with Starling, or ideally in a more ethical savings account, probably a building society or something like that. But absolutely, you can do most things or with Chase. I think there are issues maybe in terms of larger transfers. Yeah, it's an individual choice, isn't it? I personally wouldn't, but we're welcome to do that if you want to. Andrew's asked about what I'm going to do with spending expires with Chase. We've already covered that. Ebenezer asked about investing. Sorry, Ebenezer, I don't talk about investing on this channel. Andrew says, well, gutted to miss out on the Commentary Bill on Society 3.25% saver. If you did watch my savings update video last week, I talked about this account. They withdrew it the next day, which was really frustrating. So the best you can get now is for a Bill on Society around 3%, but on a limited amount. But again, all that information on savings accounts, I say this a lot, but it's worth doing it. becleveryourcash.com/savings. That's the best buy tables. That's where you'll find the highest paying rates right now of accounts that are available to new people. Often people say to me, what about this account? Well, that's not available to new customers anymore. So that's why it's not on there. Tina says, hi, Andy. I'm looking to get a credit card to go alongside my Chase card to use abroad if needed. As I have a Barclays card, I assume I can't get their fee-free card. So what is the best alternative? Well, tell you what, Tina, go into your Barclays app and have a look if they give you the opportunity to transfer up. Because that what happened to me. I had a Freedom Rewards card or something like that from Barclays, which I had for a long time. I used to use it as before Oyster cards came along, it was like the first thing you could use on the TFL. So I had this old card. That changed into this Freedom Rewards card. And when I went away, before I went away earlier this summer, I had a look and they let me upgrade to the rewards card. So have a look. You might be able to do it without a credit check or anything like that. You just change your account over. If you don't have that offer and you can't get that, then the best one, although you won't earn cash back on it, is probably still the Halifax Clarity credit card. It's been doing its job for a long time. You might find other credit cards temporarily give you fee-free spending or whatever for a short period. I would stick with the Halifax Clarity card. It's been doing it for a long time. I can't imagine they're going to change it anytime soon. You just don't earn cash back with it, and there is interest charged on cash withdrawals. But if you've got Chase, that doesn't matter because you'll be getting your cash withdrawals from Chase. What else we've got going on? Tyler says, does the credit utilization rate reset each time you pay off the balance? So if I have a limit of 1k and spend £100 and clear it, then spend £100 again and clear it, is my utilization rate 10% or 20%? So it will be, so the credit reference agencies and the lenders, they all report at different times. So you may well find that some of them take your average balance over the month. Sometimes it might be at a set point. Sometimes it might be at the end of the month or whatever it might be. And they will vary from different ones. But fundamentally, it will average out is the main thing to consider there. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. And again, this thing about the 30% utilization rate, it's a useful thing to know about. Again, it is normally averaged normally over multiple cards, but it also exists for single cards as well. It's a good guide. It's a good thing to consider to put it down there. But I, in the past, with cashback credit cards, when they were my main way of spending, had them way up there. Obviously, I've cleared that balance into the month, but that didn't really affect me. Obviously, if you're trying to build your credit score up a little bit more for other things, it's more important. But if that doesn't matter, I wouldn't worry too much about trying to make things really stick there below that 30% rate. It's great if you can, but it's not the end of the world if you're also getting advantage of other things such as cashback or consumer rights protection by using a credit card. How are we doing? Oh, 4 minutes. Let's go back to Insta because there's loads on here that I've not had a look at. Zach says, hi Andy, I opened a Barclays account for the rainy day saver, but was told it was closed a week later. Can they just close my account without any notice or reason? They are still holding my £5,000. So that's really strange. And if you, sometimes you do get banks closing accounts because they think there is fraudulent activity going on. And this is part of their kind of checks that they put into place. I certainly would be, if I'm sure you have already, be getting onto them to try and find out why they have closed the account and what's going on. They can do it, but that money is yours, so they should get it back to you. It's one of the things I do mean to sort of look into a bit more detail, do an article or video on about what happens to you. Historically, it was more likely to be the likes of Monzo where this happened, but it can happen at any bank. So really sorry to hear that one. That's really frustrating for you. Very strange they're doing it. Definitely try and find out what's going on and put a complaint in. If you don't get a resolution, you obviously can go to the financial ombudsman. It takes time, but if they find in your favour, not only will you get obviously your money back, but you'll hopefully get some form of compensation from it as well. Ryan says, does the British Airways Amex include travel insurance? No, it doesn't. If you want insurance, it's the Platinum American Express card. That is very expensive, £575 a year for that. There are other benefits that come with it, and you might find that insurance is beneficial. You might be better off looking at a packaged bank account instead, although again, pros and cons to those. Or you might be better off just getting a travel insurance policy anyway. And particularly with the Amex one, you have to do the spending on Amex as well, which ideally you will, but it can cause some problems as well in my experience. How are we doing? Oh, blimey, right, okay. Karif says, I want to start trying the switching system this year. What current account can I get now to start the process? I have HSBC and Chase. I want to keep HSBC and Chase until the 1% promo is over. Well, Chase you can't switch from. It's not part of the current account switching service. You can't do anything with that. I have got a whole account looking at dummy current accounts. That's what I call them. Open up these accounts just for the purpose of switching. So check out that video. Check out that article that has more information. Word of warning, just say that over on the Facebook community, I've seen a few people recently posting when they've opened up additional accounts with their existing bank that they have had a hard check. So although in my experience and the experience of a lot of other people, when they've opened up these additional accounts, they've not had a hard check on their credit reports. A few people have said they had. So it's worth bearing in mind that when you do this, this could happen, okay? So it's not the end of the world if you do that, but it's just worth bearing that in mind. There is a chance of that. And a couple of people reported it with Monzo as well. I've gone to the Monzo press office just to see if this is actually a change, because Monzo used it, as long as you didn't have an overdraft, Monzo didn't use the credit check. Sonia says, what amount is tax based on the interest with shared accounts with a higher rate and a lower rate earner, i.e. is it 500 per year max? Okay, so it's probably the last question. This is about the personal savings allowance. Again, if you have a joint account, they take the amount you have in there and split it in the interest you earn in that account and split it in two. So if you earn £50 interest in that joint account over a year, it's £25 each. and then that will therefore relate to your own, you and whoever you have a joint account with, individual personal saving allowances. Okay, right. Sorry guys, I think it's the first one back. That's probably why. Oh my goodness, so many questions I didn't get around to. Head over to the Facebook group, becloveryourcash.com/community, or join me the next one of these, which will be 2 weeks time, normally a Tuesday. A day can move around, so I'll tell you when it is in the newsletter, which comes out on a Thursday. That will give you confirm the date, the next one of these that is happening. Get here early, close to the start of it, the better chance I've got to get into your question. I'm so sorry I haven't got around to so many of you this time. It's such a shame. I'm so sorry about that. But anyway, Happy New Year again. Have a lovely rest of the week, and I will see you guys again soon. Cheers.